Hello everyone. My name is Jennifer and I wanted to talk to you about my fellow brothers and sisters and everybody that also has seizures. And I wanted to talk to you about my journey with epilepsy and how I went from, how the normal course of having seizures and not being able to control them, and they affect my life just like they do all of yours. That story isn't going to be very interesting or much different than the rest of yours, I'm quite sure. Maybe harder than some, but definitely not as hard as others. We all have different varying degrees of it. But what I want to talk to you about is how I went from having seizures to not having them anymore without medication. So the reason that I'm bringing this to your awareness is because it really is possible to either get yourself completely away from having seizures totally, or at least calming down so that you don't have as much, or lessen the intensity, or lessening the intensity before a seizure or after, as far as like the triggers go, being able to kind of calm the triggers when they come up, as well as after a seizure, that can be pretty stressful and tense as well. I'm not talking about the really painful part afterwards, coming out and all of that type of stuff. But I'm talking about the effects of having a seizure as far as of really affecting your life, whether it be at school or work, and the anxiety or depression or stress or anything that causes. So all of that stuff I have found to be very significant in causing more seizures for me. So anyway, what I have found through my journey is I started to have seizures when I was 15. And this is right before, the whole time of getting a driver's license and all of that stuff. And then I was put on Depakote, and for me, it worked as far as controlling the seizures go quite well. And I stayed on that for a few years until I started to realize the extreme toxicity on your liver and on your system that Depakote causes. And that really upset me. I certainly did not want to be controlling my seizures, yes, but then later in my life having all these other different medical problems. And so I quit taking it on my own. And I decided, oh yay, like I'm gonna stop my seizures on my own. I'm gonna use my willpower, and they are gonna I had this kind of intense idea about it. They're gonna I don't know if the word obey me is kind of the right term, but I had that kind of energy about it, like this control energy and that type of stuff. Well, what that did was really intensify the seizures, the amount of seizures, and it was really awful because I stuck to the fact that I wasn't going to take medication, but I was having seizures that were more intensified, and I didn't understand at that point. I was really young, so I'm probably around, between the years of 18 to 21 that I'm talking about right now. And I didn't understand my triggers. I didn't understand the importance of having my breath being connected with being calm, and how to relieve stress, or, all of that stuff that just, I didn't know. I just had no clue. So anyway, for me, when I got pregnant, I ended up not having seizures while I was pregnant. So that was awesome. And then for a while afterwards, I didn't have them either. So that was nice. But then they did come back, and they came back pretty intensely. And I still didn't go on medication. And then I got pregnant again, and I had the same situation happen where I quit having seizures, yay, and then I didn't have them anymore afterwards for a little while, and then they came back. Well, then one time I was babysitting, and I had a seizure while I knew it was coming. I was trying to get my nephew who was around 12 or something to wake up and come and get the baby, and he didn't do it, and he was just all annoyed with me. Of course, you know, he's 12-year-old and sleeping. Well, then I had a seizure while I was holding the baby. That was a big wake-up call for me, because I was like, I'm putting somebody else's life in danger, and that's simply unacceptable. I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to go back on medication. So I went back to the doctor, and they were like, you definitely don't need Depakote. That's super toxic for you, and da-da-da-da. Use this other stuff. I think it was Kepra or something like that, and it's not as toxic on you, and blah, blah, blah. So I did, and it was awful. Oh my God, I could not think for the life of me. I know you, many of you know what I'm talking about, but that brain fog and just feeling like you're going through life like, you know, and just not really fully being present. That was truly awful. Okay. In the meantime, this is maybe about, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, about 10 years ago from here. I started on this intense, I don't know about intense, I don't mean to say intense, but a very particular practice for meditation. And I was doing that for, you know, for awareness, for self-awareness, for clarity, for expansion of my heart, all of these beautiful, more spiritual aspects. And I was doing that for a while, you know, and then this happened, and then I started taking the medication, and that just wasn't working for me at all, and I just didn't know what to do. But it got so bad where I was having such a hard time with all of my thinking and all of this stuff that I ended up stopped taking it again, and I started having a really a much deeper connection with my much more focus. I started paying a lot more attention, putting a lot more awareness and love into my practice and this type of thing. And I saw a significant decrease in my seizures, in the intensity of them sometimes, in the amount of them, and that type of thing. And wow, that is such a blessing. Like, I know, and this, you know, it was over a course of time. The other thing, there was 3 ingredients that got me to the place where I am now. That was the first one, that's the main one, and that's the one that's sustainable, because it's now kept it at bay, which I'll get into that part of the story in a moment. The other thing was I started using Rick Simpson's oil. And Rick Simpson's oil has, if you look it up, it's this man had made this oil, and it's been used to cure cancer and stuff like that, and it's made out of marijuana. So it does have the THC in it, it does have the CBD in it. And at that point, I'm out here in Colorado, so everything was, you know, a lot more accessible and legal and all of that kind of stuff. And so I started doing that, and I didn't know specifically about the possibility of just using CBD oil at the time. So I don't know for myself if that would have worked or not. But I used that, and phenomenal. Like, in really, when I started feeling it, and I knew what my triggers were, and one of them was going to work at this place that was just really irked me, you know. So I would take it every day. And you guys, that really helped. And what also helped was the combination between that and the meditation, because that also really helped me, you know, process through the day and that kind of stuff a lot easier. So, and the other thing was, for me, was diet. And that also changed, okay? Like, this, I didn't do it specifically for this reason, but I want to give you the 3 main things that in my life that I changed that ended up being, you know, what I've stuck to. And for me, I quit eating gluten, a lot of dairy, not fully, because I really love like eggs and cheese and stuff like that, but I'm noticing I'm really decreasing that now lately as well, and meat. So for me, that's what I did. And then I started recognizing how I needed less THC the more I was having stronger connections with my meditation. And so then I got to the point where I just quit taking it and I stick with my meditation, and I've learned my triggers. I know that if we all have our different triggers and stuff like that. And if I start to feel just not high vibes, my vibes are going down, I don't like what I'm doing, or I'm getting upset, and that kind of stuff really triggers me. So I'm able to okay, well, I'm go and meditate. And that is completely what I'm doing now. I'm only meditating to sustain myself. If I don't feel good or something, I don't have the I guess what they call the aura anymore in regards to seizures either. But if I don't feel right, as far as just getting headaches and stuff, I do use the CBD oil. So anyway, I haven't had a seizure in a couple years, and I don't anticipate that I'll have them again. I'm very interested. I just realized over the course of the last week, I should go get an EEG and just see what my brain's doing. I really have no idea as far as that goes. But what I do know, because I feel it, I know it, and it's evident, in my life, is that I have been able to rewire my brain. Okay, because we have electrical storms, and I've really paid a lot of attention to this. A lot of my artwork is based off of this idea with epilepsy and meditation, and taking all the energy from going real static, or not static, but chaotic, like an electrical storm, and channeling it mainly in, turning it, giving it a different way through, and creating these pathways of, I guess it's giving a different plug, a different outlet or something through this particular meditation practice that I'm doing. And I've noticed that by doing that, it's just kind of it truly feels like I'm rewired, where everything is now moving naturally the way that it should be. And I have been able to help people who have different types of mental issues, disorders, however you want to call it, all of that stuff, in regards to people with anxiety and depression and stress, also bipolar, people with the non-epileptic seizures, all of this stuff. It's the same. I'm noticing, I'm recognizing that we still have power. We still have power and control if we learn how to refocus our way of being. It's also been a lot, I've learned a lot. It's been through the way that I think, and processing and all of these different types of things. But my whole point is to just let you know that I have not only had success with myself with seizures and with epilepsy. I've had success with people with, like I said, I've helped many people. I've also just been able to help kids, kids who are stressed out and anxious or don't know what to do with their lives. They're feeling all this pressure in high school and college to figure it all out and all this kind of stuff. So I've had a lot of success, and it really helps our mental way of being and our flow of energy. That's really what it comes down to, calming the storm and creating a different pathway for it. So I really hope that this inspires you. I hope that if this touches you, if this speaks to you, if you are feel drawn to this and want to explore this, please reach out to me. I am here. I'd love to talk with you. And I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful seizure-free day.